Today's day 2 of the 3-day Fertile Body Bootcamp. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to go ahead and get started. See, I don't know why this doesn't switch. Oh, it did. Okay. So today we're going to talk about all about safe physical body, how to get it, all about your metabolism, cellular health. You'll want to take notes. So if you don't have pen and paper, I would definitely get it. It won't need to, it'll be like the second half where I'll be really giving all of my recommendations and showing you exactly how to do it. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. So I hate this Canva presentation thing. Sorry, hold on. Let's figure out how to do this. Where is the arrow? Okay, so welcome back. Today we're going to talk about, like I said, so I get a lot of women coming to me struggling to conceive, having recurrent loss. Doctors are saying they have to do IVF, and no one ever really stops to ask them kind of, well, what's going on with you? What symptoms might you be living with? What are you experiencing on a daily basis? And almost all of the women that come to me are living with tons of symptoms. And they just think it's normal. Like, they think it's normal they have acid reflux and they get really bloated after meals. They think it's normal that they wake up 2 to 4 a.m. They think it's normal they need coffee to make it through the day. They think it's normal that they wake up not hungry. They think it's normal. Whatever the symptom is, they're just like, oh, like, this is just my life now. This is just normal. And it's not normal. And this is really where we need to listen into our body, and think about how we're living our life, and what is going on beneath the surface. So, okay, just to give you a little background, which I did share my story last night, but not everyone that was on now is on last night. But in 2018, I had a 13-week loss that resulted in a very traumatic miscarriage. I was hemorrhaging. I had a very scary ER visit. And then I went on to conceive, struggled to conceive for almost a year and a half. I found out I had fibroids, and I was told I couldn't conceive on my own without surgery and most likely IVF. Doctors fought me in my journey to get answers, and I ended up doing most of the research on my own. I was convinced I had blood clotting issues, genetic things at play, this and this, and I was just looking for all of the diagnoses or labels as to why this was happening to me, that I just was straight up ignoring what was right in front of my eyes. And that is that I had been sabotaging my own body for a really long time, and it was just finally responding. I was eating 1,300 calories a day, working out fasted at 5 a.m., drinking coffee on an empty stomach, eating all the quote unquote healthy foods, over exercising, taking care of family members, after working all day, running on stress hormones. And over time, I had driven my own body into the ground. It couldn't possibly grow a baby when it was just struggling to keep me alive. And this is what I see happening over and over again. Infertility is a consequence of not honoring your body's needs. Because when your cells don't have what they need, they adapt, they change. They have to in the current place that they're at. Your body has to adapt and change in order to keep you alive. And unfortunately, reproduction is not a top priority when your body is just trying to keep you going. So that's what we're going to dig into today. And we're going to talk about your metabolism and how it plays into your fertility. Hold on, I gotta find that little screen. I just lost it. There it is. Okay. So your energy metabolism is like a bank account, and you have withdrawals and you have deposits. So your withdrawals are going to be things like bills, stress, fighting with your husband, eating processed foods, drinking tap water, having too much blue light exposure, air pollution, beauty toxins, over exercising, or on the other end, under exercising, under eating, fasting, not spending time outside. There's tons of withdrawals that are going to be pulling from your energy metabolism bank account. And then you'll have deposits. So deposits will be nutrient dense foods, getting adequate sleep, sunlight, walking, eating balanced macronutrients, eating enough, having enough calories, reducing toxins, grounding, like so many things that are deposits. You know, simple, it's just like our bank account, simple withdrawals and deposits. But if your withdrawals are greater than your deposits, then your energy bank account is in the negative. Same way your regular bank account would be in the negative. And this means that your body has no extra money to spend on things other than necessities. If your bank account is negative, you're not going out to buy a new handbag. You're not doing it. It's not a necessity, but you will pay your power bill. You will buy food. And reproductive health and fertility is an extra. It is the handbag. It is not a necessity. Therefore, your body's never going to prioritize getting you pregnant if it's just trying to keep you alive. And believe it or not, we can, go through life and be in this place where our body is in survival mode and we're just living day to day. Especially if we were someone that came from potentially living in this place a lot as a child. Even if you didn't have like big T trauma when you were younger, it was just little T trauma. Like if you had parents that were very reactive or, had an unstable childhood, you could thrive on living in this heightened state because that's what feels normal for you, because that's what you grew up in. So your body almost looks for ways to stay in that heightened place. And we're going to dig into that more Thursday on day 3, when we talk about the emotional, nervous system regulation and all of that. But from a physical standpoint, it can manifest that way also. So this is the reason why your metabolism is the root cause. Everyone's metabolism is the root cause of why they're not getting pregnant. I hear women that are like, my hormones are imbalanced, my digestion's off, I have hypothyroid, I have Hashimoto's, all of those, your metabolism is the root cause. Every single person, every single thing. The reason is your metabolism is the sum of every metabolic process. It's the measure of the function of our cells. And you're probably like, cool, well, I don't know why that matters when I'm trying to get pregnant. Because your entire body is made of cells. So the health of your cells dictate the health of your body. And it is the foundation of every output from your body. And when there is dysfunction at the cellular level and we aren't efficiently producing energy, our body prioritizes keeping us alive. And why this is so crucial when we're trying to conceive is our fertility is based upon successful regulation and abundance of energy in the body. Yes, that's right. Back to our bank account, you have to have a surplus of energy for your body to be like, yeah, you know what? Let's make a baby. Your body's not going to prioritize growing another human if it doesn't feel safe. And we have this physiological blueprint in our body. Our body has preferences, ways it likes to be nourished. Just like our personalities, we have preferences on foods we like and things we don't like and activities we like. Your body's the same way. It has preferences on the way it likes to be nourished. Some of these are glucose for its main energy source, having enough protein, getting enough calories, sleeping when it's dark, getting out in sunlight, eating every few hours. These are preferences that our body prefers to have and run on. And when we live outside of our biological preferences for a long time, there's consequences because our bodies have to change and adapt to this new way of living. And in order to get pregnant, we have to get back to that place of homeostasis where our body feels safe and we're giving it what it needs. And the reason why women struggle to conceive is because many of us are so far off from that biological design. We have coffee on empty stomachs. We skip meals. We undereat. We go, go, go. We're taking on too much. And that's not how we were designed to run, right? We can run that way. We do. Many people do. But there's consequences that come with it. There's adaptations that come with it. And one of those adaptations is reproductive function not being prioritized. And this will show up in a lot of ways. It'll show up in estrogen dominance, imbalanced hormones, low progesterone, low quality eggs, your endometrium lining not getting like nice and thick for an egg to implant if you do happen to conceive, miscarriage, infertility, fibroids, cysts, like all of these things that are happening are because there's dysfunction at the cellular level. So, but don't fear, because there is very easy ways to fix it. So back to metabolism a little bit and just the ways it directly affects, fertility. So it plays a crucial role in hormone regulation. A sluggish metabolism can lead to hormone imbalances, which will disrupt the menstrual cycle and ovulation. So if you're not ovulating or have really irregular cycles, that's a big sign that your metabolism probably needs some support. It can also affect your insulin sensitivity, which will increase the risk of things like PCOS and can also contribute to infertility. And then it also influences how well we're utilizing nutrients and, especially ones that are needed for reproductive health. So, do you have a fertile body? Let's look at your own metabolic markers and see if you have a fertile body. So we're going to go through your metabolic markers, which are markers in your body that show your body feels safe. And a safe body is a fertile body. I always say this, you can either respond to stress or be fertile, but you cannot be both. They don't go together. So you could take notes on this if you wanted, but the first one is your basal body temps. So this would be using a basal body thermometer, not just a regular thermometer. They're not as sensitive, but you can get a cheap one off Amazon. And in the morning before you get out of bed, keep that thermometer right on your nightstand. Don't get up to pee, don't sit up, don't do anything. Reach over and put that sucker in your mouth and take your temperature for a few days and see what it is. In your follicular phase, which is day 1 of your period until you ovulate, healthy temps would be 97.2 to 97.8. Then once you ovulate and for the remainder of your luteal phase, you want to see it 97.8 or higher. A classic sign of low metabolism is low body temps. So you don't want to be in the 96s. And this is where I see a lot of women coming to me. They're in the 96s because your body slows down and gets colder when it is trying to keep you alive and conserve energy. It doesn't want to waste any extra energy. So basal body temps is a huge one. And then the next one is resting pulse rate, another huge one. Because again, if your body's slowing down to conserve energy, your pulse rate is going to be less. And everyone thinks that when your pulse rate's really, really low, your resting pulse is really low, it means you're super healthy and conditioned and heart healthy. And unless you're like an endurance athlete or like an Olympian, having a resting pulse rate in the 50s is not healthy, because you want blood being pumped through your body, getting to all of your extremities, and especially getting blood flow to your reproductive organs. You don't want a low pulse rate. Ideally, around 75 or higher would be a good sign of a healthy, safe, fertile body. It takes time to get basal body temps and pulses up. So in 2018, when I was like under eating and super skinny and whatever, my resting heart rate was like 55 and my basal body temps were like 96.0, like super low. My resting pulse rate right now is usually between like 68 and 71. My basal body temps are still a little bit on the lower side. So like in my luteal phase, I might hit 97.8, which is something I'm still working on. It takes time. The next metabolic marker to look at is your energy and your recovery. So do you have sustained energy throughout the day? Do you recover well from workouts? Are you really, really sore after workouts? Having a cup of coffee in the morning after your breakfast is totally fine, but you shouldn't be relying on caffeine to make it through the day. You shouldn't be having 2 p.m. crashes. You shouldn't need naps or feel really like lethargic in the afternoon. You should have sustained energy throughout the day. So that's another thing that you really want to be checking in on. Okay. The next one is sleep. So for sleep, you want to be sleeping through the night without waking. And this includes like getting up to pee. You shouldn't need to get up to pee during the night. Unless you drink like a literal gallon of water before you went to bed, you should be able to sleep soundly throughout the night and just wake up in the morning and pee. And if you're waking through that like 2 to 4-ish a.m. time, and you have to pee, or you just like wake up and can't get back to sleep, like those are signs of blood sugar issues going on. Also, you really ideally want to be sleeping like 7 hours and feeling very rested when you wake. Rest is a time of, restoration and repair. It's when like hormones get detoxed in the liver. So, crucial things happen during sleep. And we want to make sure we're getting really quality sleep. The next one is menstrual cycle. This one is really big. You want to be looking at your menstrual cycle, especially things like your period and then ovulation, like a report card. What is it telling you? So ideally, we want a cycle that's 21 to 35 days, and we want a 12 to 14-day luteal phase and no period symptoms. Having painful periods, cramping, bloating, irritability, tender breasts, spotting before your period, none of those are normal. I know like really crappy health education and like in, school, and then like period commercials for like pads or tampons or whatever. And even just like movies, like they make you feel like the week of your period should be like hell on earth. And it's just not true. It's actually a sign that you have too much estrogen on board. So looking at your menstrual cycle is really helpful. The next one is, I don't know why it says energy recovery. It should say libido, but libido is huge. You should have adequate libido throughout the month. That doesn't mean you're like walking around ready to jump your husband at any moment, but like it means that you should have the urge, you should have a libido. And of course, this will kind of like come and go in waves. You should have more sex drive like around ovulation during your fertile window, because like that's when your body wants to, get pregnant. But low libido is probably one of the biggest symptoms I see with women that have low metabolism. And it makes sense why, because if your metabolism is low and slow and your body's just prioritizing keeping you alive, it's never going to be like, hey, let's get horny and make a baby. It's like, turn that shit down. Like, don't even let her think about sex. Like, no. So your libido is also another really great way to look at it. Okay, digestion. So digestion is a parasympathetic process. This means your central nervous system has to be in a parasympathetic state, which is a rest and digest. When you are starving yourself or in a heightened fight or flight state, that's a sympathetic state. That's a heightened state, and digestion doesn't happen in this state. So again, back to like if we're living in that fight or flight, or if our body is just trying to like keep us alive, digestion's gonna just like go down the shitter. No pun intended. That was good though. And digestion, it can cause lots of other things to go really haywire. So like if you're experiencing bloating, constipation, diarrhea, cramps, acid reflux, seasonal allergies, any of these, not normal. You should be pooping every single day, 1 to 3 times, 1 time minimum. And when, when we're in that place and our digestion is slow, then that leads to things like leaky gut and low stomach acid, and we're not breaking down our food. So now we're not getting the nutrients we need. And it's just like a whole cascade of things that happens once our digestion is like really compromised and not working properly. So healthy digestion, like you feel good after you eat and you're pooping every day and you don't have any of those symptoms listed on the screen. A warm body, feeling warm, having warm hands and feet. When your body doesn't feel safe, it prioritizes keeping blood around the organs needed to keep you alive. So this is why your extremities, your feet and your hands, your fingertips all get cold, because your body's like, listen, we're just keeping blood right here, right in this area around the brain and around the heart and the lungs. And, it doesn't care about your toes, which is why having cold hands and feet is a very common symptom of people that have low metabolism, or you're someone that's just like always cold. That's another symptom also. And then we want to look at our hair, skin, and nails. So, hair, skin, and nails is a reflection of what is going on in the body. So if you have dry, brittle hair, if you're losing hair, if your skin is super dry, peeling, acne, if your nails are peeling or brittle and they break easily, or you have those little like white spots, these are just all signs that there's something greater happening within. Greater dysfunction is happening within. So ideally, when we look at these, metabolic markers, we want to be able to check off a lot of those boxes that whatever it said we have, and if you didn't, then that could be a really great place to start and implement some of the things we're going to talk about tonight. Because if you have a slow metabolism, you have a slow thyroid, you have slow digestion, your hormones are going to be imbalanced. And then, it's really hard to conceive and stay pregnant when all of that's going on behind the scenes. Oh, I forgot about these ones. Okay. The next one would be weight. So that's another metabolic marker. I don't love BMI. I know doctors use BMI. I don't love BMI because it doesn't take into account muscle mass at all. So, if you have more muscle, you will weigh more, but it doesn't necessarily mean, and you could have the BMI of someone who weighs the same as you, but has no muscle. And those two people are inherently going to be very different and, health-wise as well. But from a weight standpoint, can you maintain a healthy weight, not gaining a ton of weight, not losing a ton of weight? Can you just like maintain a healthy weight? Right? And it doesn't need to be like a low weight. It doesn't need to be like, are you 120 pounds? Like, no, that's not normal, but like, are you someone that like gains weight very easily? Are you someone that gains weight in your hips, thighs, stomach area very easily? Or you have a really hard time losing it? This is a sign of, some metabolic distress going on, some imbalanced hormones, some other things at play. I touched on this one a little bit, but like appetite, feeling hungry upon waking, feeling hungry throughout the day. I love all those fitness coaches that will be like, only eat when you're hungry. And it's like, well, when your metabolism is so slow and it's conserving energy, it just suppresses your hunger cues. So like, that's not really a good strategy, because then you're most likely just going to undereat even more. And a lot of times what I have to do with women is rebound their appetite. And this looks like eating at certain times of the day, certain amounts, so that they can literally train their body to have hunger cues again. That's how far we've gotten off from being able to listen to our bodies. It's crazy. And then the last one is emotional well-being. So not having depression, anxiety, not being defensive, irritable. If you snap really easily over like small things, these are just signs that there's probably something else going on, beneath the scene. Okay. This is where you want to write it down. This is what you're going to do. This is what I have all of my clients do. This is what's in this is honestly module like 1, 2, and 3 in my course. And I'm just like giving it to you because I want you guys to like be able to have a place to start. And this is where you start. And you're going to look at it and be like, this is so stupid and easy. It's like, yeah, but like we need the basics. The basics are what work. So first one we're going to start with is these are called nutrition foundations. They're foundations because they are the pillars that build a healthy, safe body. And we create a healthy, safe body by laying a really solid foundation. So you're going to have to be really consistent with doing these and make sure you're doing them over time. So these foundations will promote balanced blood sugar, give your cells enough energy, support digestion, replenish nutrients, and communicate to the body, one, you're adequately fueling it, and two, you are consistently fueling it. Adequately and consistently are two things your body needs to hear in order to feel safe. We want to treat our body like we treat a child. Think about a child, like parents put their kids before themselves. They never let their kid leave the house without eating breakfast. They make sure they have snacks, a coat. They make sure they get outside. They make sure they all the things. I want you to treat your body like you would be treating a child, right? Nurture it, provide, nourishing foods, and keep these things happening every day. So the first one is eating within 30 minutes of waking. And the reason for this is that throughout the night, your liver can store, depending on how healthy your liver is, 7 to 9-ish hours of glucose. And it uses that glucose to perform tons of different processes, but many of them related to detoxification. And so after 7 to 9 hours from your last meal, so whenever you stop eating at night, that's when the clock starts with the glucose. So if you stop eating at 7 at night, you have 7 to 9 hours from then before you're out of glucose. So what ends up happening is women don't eat bedtime snacks most of the time. So they eat dinner, maybe 5, 6, 7, whenever you eat dinner. And then they don't eat again until the next morning. Well, by 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whenever it may be, your liver's out of glucose. And so now your body has to make glucose. And it does this through this process called gluconeogenesis. But that process happens by the body releasing cortisol and adrenaline. So your body has to have those two things in order to go and break down your muscles and tissues. It breaks it down into amino acids. And then your liver can then take those amino acids and turn it into glucose. It's a very stressful process for the body, and it requires your body running on stress hormones. Want to know why you wake up from that 2 to 4 a.m. time frame in the morning? You're running on cortisol because you ran out of energy. So by the time we wake up in the morning, we're really out of energy. We're just like straight running on cortisol. So what we want to do is minimize how much cortisol we're running on. And by eating within 30 minutes of waking, we replenish glucose by eating something with carbs. And then our body can kind of chill a little bit because now it doesn't have to make its own glucose. Cortisol can come down a little bit. And this is also helpful in helping to do that rebound thing I was saying for your appetite. So eating within 30 minutes of waking. And I know everyone's rolling their eyes and saying like, I'm not hungry, I'm busy in the morning, I'm rushing. It's like, this is a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable. It can be something small. So it can be like, sometimes I have a cup of bone broth with collagen and a piece of fruit. That's good. And then later I'll eat a bigger breakfast, like in an hour or so once I get, my son up and whatever. But like that has to be a non-negotiable for you. The next one is eating every 3 to 4 hours. And meal frequency is really one of the biggest things we can do to support our hormones because skipping meals is a really big stressor on the body. Our body has to use up precious energy and nutrients to respond to stress. So when we eat every 3 to 4 hours, we're just constantly giving our body that glucose and that energy it needs. And we're never letting it be like, oh, we don't have food. Are we in a fast? What's happening? This is stressful. Let's run on cortisol. We want to stop that from happening. When we eat every 3 to 4 hours, our body's saying like, okay, I'm being nourished. I know food is coming. I don't need to be in fight or flight. I am safe. It also helps to balance blood sugar and avoid really big spikes and dips in our blood sugar, which is a stressor itself. So eating every 3 to 4 hours, eating balanced macros. So, there's definitely always like a learning curve depending on what your background is. But the macros are protein, carbs, and fat. And at every meal and snack, you have to have a protein with your carb. No naked carbs. So no waking up and just having a piece of toast, no waking up and having a bagel by itself. Like there has to be protein. And what this does is protein and fat slow down the absorption of carbs so they don't cause as high of a spike in blood sugar than just eating the carbs naked. And we want to be really controlling our blood sugar and keeping it as stable as we can, not really big spikes and then dropping really low. So the third nutrition foundation is eat balanced macronutrients. Okay, next is going to be eating enough calories. Undereating is one of the biggest contributors to poor metabolic health. And poor metabolic health is the biggest contributor to infertility, imbalanced hormones, and ovulation, and PCOS. When we don't eat enough calories, it puts our body in a stress state. Stress hormones are released and the body slows down to conserve energy. Slowly over time, your body begins running so slow and so cold that it uses less and less calories. This is why women can continue to cut their calories and not lose weight. Their body is using minimal energy and storing the rest as fat because it doesn't know when it's going to get food again. And a stressed body is not a safe body. In addition to undereating calories, undereating protein and carbs is also a stressor on the body. Protein is the building blocks of our body, from our organs and our muscles all the way down to our cells. We also need protein to convert thyroid hormones. So our thyroid makes T4, but in order to get used in our cells, it has to become T3, and we need protein for that process. It's also needed for phase 2 detoxification, and it's also used by the liver. It supports healthy blood sugar. So you're going to want to aim to eat minimum 100 grams of protein a day. And we're going to do a little thing together to figure out how many calories you should be eating, but just remember for protein, around 100 grams or more. And then also making sure we're not under eating carbs. Carbs have been demonized in society. Everyone's keto or low carb nowadays, but like when we go back to thinking about how our body wants to run, it prefers glucose, right? Carbs give our body glucose, which is what it prefers. We need it for thyroid hormone conversion. It gives our liver the glucose it needs to perform its functions. It gives our cells the glucose it needs to make ATP, which is our energy. And again, when we undereat or restrict carbs, we're forcing our body to go back in that stressful process I talked about called gluconeogenesis, and we have to make our own energy. But it's by running on cortisol, right? So not metabolically supportive. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a minute, and I'm going to show you how to calculate your calories. So let's see here. Okay, let me go back and share now. So I like this website. It's called tdeecalculator.net. That's the website. So basically you're going to come here, put in female, put in your age, whatever age you are, 32, your weight, 145. I'm just making this up. Let's say you're 5'4". And then for activity level, this is important. Don't overestimate your workouts. People they always say they're more active than they are. So let's say you work out 4 days a week, you take a class at the gym, fine. Then you hit calculate. Your maintenance calories, that means to maintain the weight you are right now, you need 2,000 calories a day. No women that I begin working with are eating 2,000 calories a day. Honestly, most are closer to like 1,500. And don't pay attention to the BMI score when you see this, because again, I don't like that. But I just like to get this as like a rough estimate, right? And as a place to start. Then what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find out how many calories you're eating. The only way to do this is to track it. So I use Chronometer. It's an app on your phone, but for the purpose of this, let's see if it worked. I did. Okay. For the purpose of this, I'm going to bring it up here. So you're going to go, and each day, I want you to add your food that you eat. Now you should do this for like 4 to 5 days. It's annoying. It sucks, but like it's a week, you know, and it's a really good way to know how many calories you're eating, how much protein you're eating, how many carbs, how much fat. So let's see if I can like go back and find. So basically you would add a food and you can scan it with your phone, the barcode on the label, or you can just like type it in. So let me see. I haven't tracked in a while, but I do track from time to time to make sure. Let's see. Did I track this day? No. Hold on. Maybe it was April. Oh, here we go. Okay. So this day in April, I tracked. You can see here, I ate 1,925 calories. I had 150 grams of protein, 168 carbs, and 67 grams of fat. I could have probably eaten more this day. I wouldn't want to stay at 1,900 calories just because I do go to CrossFit like 4 days a week, and I do walk like 10K steps a day. So I would feel more comfortable in the 2,100, calorie range. But then another thing I like to look at on here, in addition to your calories, is I'm gonna move. I can't see. I gotta move this. Right here, it'll give you all of your vitamins and minerals for the day. So this is a really great way to see how nutrient dense your food is. So as you can see here, like I hit all of my B vitamins. Choline and folate were a little on the lower side. And then I hit all of my vitamin A, vitamin C, almost all my vitamin D, vitamin E, vitamin K. And I scroll down right here to my minerals, and I hit almost all of them. Now, if you're eating I eat almost no processed foods, like very minimal. But if you're someone that eats a lot of processed foods, your nutrients might not look like this, because, the most bang for your buck is from animal foods, animal proteins, and real fruits and vegetables, not things that come in a box. But this is a really great place to start. This is called Chronometer. You can use it you don't have to get the app. I just find the app's easy because you can scan it. Yeah. And you can also put your supplements in here. Most of them you can find. So that would add to your vitamins and minerals as well. And then you could kind of just see like, what holes do I have in, my stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to get back to, let's see where we were here. Do we finish that? Wait. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So we talked about eat enough calories and protein. You're going to go and figure out how to do that. And then, see where you show up, right? So like when you go to tdeecalculator.net, if it says 2000 and then you track for a few days and you're at 1400, you got some work to do, right? Or if you're only getting 70 grams of protein, you have some work to do. The next one is going to be eat a bedtime snack. And again, this comes back to that not letting our liver run out of glucose. So remember, we talked about you have the 7 to 9 hours that your liver can store glucose. If you eat a bedtime snack and then you're eating right upon waking, you're never going to run out of glucose. You're going to sleep so soundly. Your body's not going to be running on cortisol, and you're going to feel great. And, I feel like people are always rolling their eyes at me when it comes to bedtime snacks, but like it could be something so small. Eat a cheese stick and an orange. Have a glass of milk and a piece of fruit, like something small, just something with a protein and a fat and like a carb, and just eat it like a half hour, 45 minutes before bed. And like, you'll feel amazing. The nights when I don't have a bedtime snack, I always wake up, always. And then the last one is like kind of what I got back to with looking at the vitamins and minerals, but like looking at the nutrient density of the food that you eat and how does it show up in chronometer, right? So are you hitting most of your minerals and vitamins? Are you eating mostly nutrient dense real foods like, you know, real meat and fish, real fruits and vegetables? Or is a lot of your food processed? Do you eat out a lot? You know, stuff to think about. But we want to really think about those vitamins and minerals because especially minerals, when you're really stressed, you burn through them extra quick. And a lot of the ones that we burn through are not necessarily going to be replenished through processed foods. So like potassium, sodium, magnesium, and calcium are the biggest ones that get burned through. If you have a slow metabolism, it's going to be potassium and sodium that go first. And I don't mean sodium like table salt. I mean like real, you know, sodium like from sea salt from like a good source. And potassium too, and magnesium. Like you're just not going to find high levels of potassium and magnesium in processed foods. But those are super important minerals. If you do anything from this call, start prioritizing potassium rich foods, because if you have a slow metabolism, I guarantee your potassium is low on your hair tissue test if you did one. Okay. Now we're going to dive into, if I can find the little arrows, where are they? There. Okay. Lifestyle foundations. So in addition, those are your nutrition foundations, those 6 things we talked about. Eat upon waking, eat every 3 to 4 hours, balance macros, so a protein with a carb at every meal or snack, eat enough calories and 100 grams of protein, eat a bedtime snack, and eat nutrient dense foods. Those 6 are foundational things that you have to do. Next are going to be lifestyle foundations. This is going to be bed by 10 p.m. And this is a big one. And I don't know that a lot of people know this, but darkness is actually perceived as a threat to our body. Even though we have homes with locked doors and windows and we have ways to protect ourselves, our body doesn't know that, because back in the day, like caveman days, like darkness was a threat, because that's when things are lurking about that we can't see. But our body doesn't know that. So even in this day and age, our body still perceives darkness as a threat. And that's why our body starts producing melatonin in the evening and the night to prepare us to sleep when it's dark and when we are most vulnerable. And this usually happens a few hours after the sun sets and you get naturally tired and your melatonin peaks. But what happens when you're exposed to a ton of blue light, which interrupts melatonin production, or we fight that urge to sleep? What's going to happen is right around 10 p.m., our body's like, okay, what's happening? We're not asleep yet. It's dark. I don't know what's happening. So what your body does is it like gets out of sleep mode. It gives you a spike of cortisol and adrenaline, and it thinks that you need protection. It doesn't know why you're awake, but it's damn well going to make sure it keeps you safe by having you prepared. And this pattern of behavior repeated over time can have really big impacts on your circadian rhythm, which is like super, super linked to your hormones. I hear a lot of times, like people are like, oh, like I stay up till midnight or 1 a.m. or even 11, like 11's too late. You need to be in bed, ready to sleep by 10 p.m. Even if you don't naturally fall asleep right at 10 p.m., you need to be winding it down, getting ready for bed then. Not scrolling on your phone while laying in bed, like lights out, getting ready for bed. The next lifestyle foundation is going to be getting outside every single day. Because sunlight is so, so important. And things like grounding, being out in nature are so super supportive. The first 2 hours of sunlight in the morning are especially helpful. They help to regulate our hormone production via our HPA axis. It also gives us energy by producing serotonin, and the morning light is really heavy in red light, infrared wavelengths. So it's super healing. It penetrates your skin. It goes all the way to your cells. It reduces inflammation. Super, super helpful to get outside in the morning. And if you can't, buying a red light device can be really helpful to use in the morning and at night, because sunrise and sunset are when the sun gives off these really helpful wavelengths. So those are the next lifestyle foundations. And then, don't worry, we're almost done. I know I've been talking forever. Okay, so back to talking about supporting our liver and hormones. Raw carrot salads, these are huge. So carrots grow in the ground, and they have this special fiber within their skin that is microbial, antifungal, and when you consume that, it goes into your digestive tract and it acts like little scrub brushes, cleaning up your digestion. And then it also helps bind to toxins and excess estrogen and remove it from the body. So if you are someone that feels like you have estrogen dominance, painful periods, imbalanced hormones, a raw carrot salad every day will go so far for you. So far. The way you make it is, and I have posts on my Instagram that I could send if you wanted more info, but you basically get organic whole carrots, not baby carrots. And you would peel 1 or 2 into a bowl, and then you add olive oil or coconut oil, apple cider vinegar, and a little bit of salt. And you just eat that once a day. And it also helps digestion greatly. So like if you're someone that doesn't go to the bathroom every day, this will help with that too. But it's really helpful in binding and getting rid of excess estrogen. The next one is going to be adrenal cocktails. So again, back to replenishing minerals. And we talked about how if you're a slow metabolizer, you're likely low in sodium, potassium, and this replenishes that. So basically it's 4 ounces of a juice of your sort, of your choosing. I don't know where I was going with that. I like to do like 4 ounces of orange juice or grapefruit juice, but like you could honestly do anything with vitamin C. And then do 4 ounces of coconut water or aloe vera juice, or use cream of tartar, like the white powder, it's in the spice aisle. That's your potassium source. And then use like a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt. And that will give you the potassium and the sodium replenish, and you'll also be getting vitamin C, which is helpful as well. You're going to want to make sure you for sure pair this with a protein. So like eat some like Greek yogurt on the side or something, but this is really helpful in replenishing minerals and helping your body adapt to stress and be more resilient to it. The next lifestyle foundation is self-care. And I think we're going to talk about this tomorrow I keep saying tomorrow, Thursday. I have to skip tomorrow. Thursday in depth, because we're going to talk about being people pleasers and self-sabotage and all these things that we do to take care of everyone else around us except ourselves. But one thing that I have all of my clients do is every week they have to tell me what they did to de-stress and take care of themselves. And it can be something big, like you got a massage, or it can be something small, like I took an Epsom salt bath. I went for a walk by myself. I did 15 minutes of grounding outside with my bare feet on the grass. I went on a dinner date with my friends and laughed. I watched a romantic comedy with my husband, like things that bring you joy. It is not selfish to take care of you. And I demand it from my clients because it is so needed. And then the last lifestyle foundation is exercise smart. And this means like stop doing high intensity interval training, stop doing excessive running or excessively long, intense spin classes. That's not a place for you to be if you have a slow metabolism. Walks, yoga, strength training, not excessively, are really great places to start. Anything that's causing you to like hyperventilate or anything that's excessively long doesn't deserve a place in your life right now if you're struggling with metabolism issues, because that's only a big stress and adding more stress to your bucket. So we want to exercise smart. I think cycling your workout routines with your actual cycle is also very smart. In your period and during the second half of your luteal phase, you're going to want to do like more toned down exercises. But then during the week after your period and then in your ovulation time, like you're going to have more energy and feel stronger and want to do more. So like that's when you can push it a little more. Stay in tune with your body. Don't push when it feels like you shouldn't be. And this isn't saying like motivation, like I don't feel motivated to work out today, so like I'm not going to go. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying like if you're on your period and you start a lift and it feels fucking awful, like do something more gentle, do mobility, do just stretching, right? Go for a walk. Don't push the body. It's from pushing our body all the time that we got in this place. So we don't want to keep doing it. Woo! We made it. Day 2. I just talked for 52 minutes straight. Sorry about that. Okay. So that is the end of day 2. I hope you took good notes. There will be a replay if you need to rewatch it and take more notes. But those are the things that you could literally wake up tomorrow and start doing. Actually, you could start them tonight with your bedtime snack. But you could literally start those things tomorrow and start implementing those changes. And I know they sound like stupidly simple, but they work. This is how I've gotten pregnant. This is how my clients, these are the things my clients do, and they get pregnant. They get pregnant. My one client, Kristen, bought the course on Black Friday and was pregnant in January after a year of not conceiving by doing these things that create safety in the body. And then Thursday, we're going to dive into the nervous system regulation. And this is the shit no one talks about. Thursday is going to be juicy. So like, I would definitely make sure you come, but this is like the emotional aspect of it, right? Because we can be doing all the right things with our diet, but like if our brain is still thinking awful things and we're people pleasing and not making boundaries and our central nervous system is in like this like freeze state, that's not a safe place either. But I'm going to teach you how to get to a safe place. Oops, I'm going backwards. Oops, I'm still going backwards. Sorry. What is happening? Stop playing this. Okay, so day 1 was failures of Western medicine. We did that yesterday. Day 2 was safe physical body. And tomorrow is safe emotional body. Now,